You're loving the road. It's your dream. You're crushing it. 20 years in, you get off the road.
The world shut down and I remembered what it was like to be home and to have routine. And I think I hit a point where I was like, this is nice. Getting off the road is like an addiction. It's always there and it's going, come on back. I'm back out on the road. If you're a people pleaser and a perfectionist, as I unfortunately am, it takes a toll. The biggest mistake you can make is chasing perfection. You have to give yourself space to make mistakes.
Were you expected to know all of it and you just had to act like you did?
Fake it till you make it. I was afraid to go into the production office. I didn't want to be in someone's way. I just figured there was like a fire-breathing dragon in there.
When do you sleep?
You don't.
And you loved this.
Somebody's paying me to do my dream job.
Wow.
I will do all the work. I adored it.
If you've been feeling like your current tour management setup is outdated, overpriced, or both, there's a better option now. Roadcase does everything you'd expect. Calendar, advances, documents, team coordination, but it's built with every size artist in mind, not just the arena tours. The big difference is pricing. Plans start at $10 a month with unlimited users, so no per seat fees. Your whole team, manager, agent, techs, everyone gets full access for a flat rate. Roadcase has given Gigs listeners a free month of Roadcase Pro, so head over to roadcase.app/gigs to claim your free month. Welcome to the Gigs Podcast, live from Lititz. I'm your host, Nikki Sanz, and we are filming on campus in Rock Lititz at the conference. So we get to sit down with the very best in the touring and live event industry. So let's get into it. I am here with Doug Wilson, who is currently the director of touring and production at Black Ink Presents. And previously, he was on the road touring with Fletcher, Tegan and Sarah, and the Dead South. And we're going to hear all about what he's done over the last 20 years on the road. Doug, thank you so much for being on the Gigs Podcast.
Thank you for having me.
So
good to be here.
We met earlier this year at Polestar.
We did.
And just had an awesome conversation. I just was amazed by your passion for like educating other people and mentoring people, and then your path now to off the road and what that's been like. So talk to me first about the start. What was your first gig?
My first gig as a tour manager was with us. I'm from Scotland, as you can probably tell from the accent.
Where in Scotland?
I grew up in the Highlands of Scotland, but I lived in Glasgow, went to school there, and I left university with no clue what I wanted to do with my life. I was playing in bands, doing a bit of touring as a musician, and just going on tour was the dream that I had. That was all I wanted to do in life. And a friend's band asked me if I wanted to drive them to a music festival. And I was like, yeah, of course. I get free tickets to a music festival. Of course, I'll do that. Man. And then just a complete chance encounter with a tour manager in catering who was a friend of a friend. And I was like, what are you doing here? And he's like, tour manager. And I'm like, what is a tour manager? Right. What do you do? What is your job? And it sounds dramatic to say, but it was just this moment of like, oh my God, that's the job I want to do.
Why? What about it?
You get paid to go on the road and you don't need to have a technical skill. Like, I'm not from a discipline of audio lighting. I've got so much respect for the people that do, and I wish I did, but it's not the way my brain works. I like logistics, organization, spreadsheets.
Me too.
And so to find out that there was this role that led to my skills was great. And so he was like, yeah, what are you doing in a month's time? I have this artist whose name was Unicorn Kid, small independent Scottish artist.
Scottish?
Yes.
Okay.
And I was like, absolutely. So we started touring in the UK, and within a couple of months, he got brought on to a US tour opening for the artist Owl City.
Okay.
Do you remember that?
Owl City?
Yes.
What is it? Fireflies. Let's freaking go, man.
Exactly. So my first tour, flew into Nashville, had never been to the US, had never been on tour, didn't know how to do the job, and just stumbled through it and screwed up until I screwed up a little bit less and a little bit less and a little bit less. And then that was it. I just was like, this is what I'm going to do.
What were those early mistakes, if you remember?
Oh my God. I didn't even know what an advance was.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything. I didn't know how this worked because the shows I'd done were, you show up with your own gear, you put it on a stage if you get any time at all to sound check. amazing, and you go from there. So you talked about mentorship. I didn't have that, and maybe it was just me, or maybe it was the time that I came through in the industry, but that didn't seem like it was accessible to me.
You were just on your own. Like, just, so as a support TM, like, how did you learn? Did you lean on that? Like, were you expected to know all of it and you just had to act like you did?
Yep.
Dude.
Fake it till you make it.
Oof.
I learned by watching.
Yeah.
And I was someone who, I was afraid to go into the production office.
Yeah.
Quickly from there, I did bigger tours, arena tours, where we were opening for certain artists. The production office scared me. I didn't want to be in someone's way. I just figured there was like a fire-breathing dragon in there. So I did everything to like, and I should have gone in and been open with the headliners, tour manager, and that I was coming up, and you know, but hindsight's a beautiful thing. More
just like fear that they were going to find out that you didn't know what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. And so, you know, just trial and error, learning from your mistakes. I think, like, you know, I get asked a lot from people who are trying to get into the industry, you know, how do I get my foot in the door? How do I, you know, what's one piece of advice you would give? I think the biggest mistake you can make is chasing perfection. You have to give yourself space to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Nobody's perfect. Steve Jobs wasn't perfect. All of the most impressive people in history are not perfect, but on tour you exist in this uncontrollable environment. So you're going to make mistakes. Things are going to happen. It's how you respond to them and how you fix them next time, or make sure they don't happen again.
It feels like you actually, like, in everything, you can't be a perfectionist. I mean, some things you kind of have to, like baking or interior design, or certain things really like thrive with perfectionism. But it seems like in touring, like, you cannot be a perfectionist because everything is last minute. You're just surviving. Yeah. Basically.
And I'm saying this out loud, but I'm understanding that I also need to take my own advice because I am a perfectionist.
Okay. Tell me how that plays out. Do you think about a decision so many times before you make a call? Like, how does perfectionism play out in touring?
Oh my gosh. There are so many uncontrollables on tour. You're in a different environment every day. You have no responsibility over the environment you work in that day, or the people you're working with, or the weather conditions, all of these uncontrollables. And also in a leadership role in tour, you have responsibility over so many things that you answer so many questions and make so many decisions in every single day. So if you start down that road, you're gonna trip yourself up really quick. And so you have to just use your experience, go with your gut, make judgment calls, and not beat yourself up if you make the wrong one. Lean on your team. As a tour manager, production manager, you can't be an expert in everything that works, that exists underneath you. So you have to rely on the experts. And so communication. Speak to all the parties involved, and then make a clear decision, communicate it clearly, and then
don't beat yourself up if it's not. I feel like that's a huge part of perfectionism. That it's like the dark side of it is like you're gonna maybe take too long to make a. All right, we're doing this, and if it's wrong, it's like then you're just upset with yourself and maybe then fearful of making the next decision. Yeah, no, I struggle with this like crazy. But you can't be quick if you want it to be perfect.
And especially as a tour manager, you're going to upset. You can't keep everyone happy at all times.
Yeah.
Oftentimes you upset everyone. Oftentimes you're
a politician.
You can be put exactly that. You can be put into a position where you're representing a decision that you didn't necessarily make, or having to communicate something that you have very little control over and be the face of the organization.
Yeah.
And so if you're a people pleaser and a perfectionist, as I unfortunately am, it takes a toll. Mentally it's sometimes difficult to keep your head up when you're having to upset people and, make decisions that impact them negatively. But
interesting.
It's part of the job.
Thank you for going deeper into that. That's really fascinating. This episode is brought to you by Gigs, the professional career platform for the live event industry. So if you're looking for jobs in the live event space, or if you are hiring in this industry, go to gigs.live, become a professional, become an employer, start posting jobs and applying to jobs now. Join our community of tens of thousands of professionals in this industry. We have events around the country. We have employment opportunities. We have entertainment, we have education. So join Gigs today, gigs.live. Also, please go give us a 5-star review and follow us on our socials at gigs.live. We can get back to you now.
Sure.
So you come to America. You're now going on arena tours, opening, tour managing.
Yep.
How big is your crew that you're managing at that point?
At that stage, oftentimes it's myself and a front of house engineer. Yep.
So you're PMing too.
Yep.
And everything else.
And driving. And, you know, when in the early years when you're in those sprinter tours, bus chasing, you're driving 8-10 hours a day just to get to the arena.
Bus chasing.
Yeah.
Dude.
Oh my God, those
in
days.
A van.
In a van.
When do you sleep?
You don't.
I mean, like, can we actually talk about it? You're doing everything. You load out.
Yep.
You drive to the next city. When do you sleep?
It depends how long the drive is, but you know, you might stay in the same city and then get up at 5-6 in the morning to do the drive, or you might partially drive or team drive through the night. There's no easy way to do it.
And you loved this.
I adored it.
You're crazy.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
Somebody's paying me to do my dream job.
Wow.
I will do all the work. I don't care how much it. And you know, I was young. I was in my early 20s. I had all the energy in the world.
Totally.
I can't even do a 3-hour drive now. I'm like exhausted on the drive here. But you know, when you want something so much, you'll push yourself through a brick wall to get it.
Wow. So you got it.
Yep.
You were doing it. Did you have goals while you were doing this? Like when you were driving, was your goal to get to a bus tour, or like where was your thinking?
That was absolutely it. Mm-hmm. What's the next step on the ladder? And this is an industry where you can grow very quickly, often beyond your experience and your abilities. You can get over promoted if your artist grows and goes from clubs to arenas within a year.
Right.
And if, you know, I often feel like that's something where if you're adaptable enough and you cling on for dear life, you go with the artist and you make it work and you learn quickly and put people around you whose skill sets complement your own.
Ooh.
But yeah, I just wanted to get to the next stage. So it was bus tours. I remember my first bus tour and not sleeping the night before because I was so anxious that I'd screw up. And like this all goes back to not having mentors, not having access to learning. I didn't know what I didn't know.
Yeah.
And so all the way up until, you know, the last 6-7 years of my life, that's how I operate.
Wow.
I just trial and error, make it work, figure it out, watch other people.
That's really how your generation had to do it.
For sure.
Now with conference and things like this, we're all like, yeah, let's educate and train and mentor and be there for each other. But it seemed like it was more feast and famine for you guys.
Absolutely. Yeah. It never occurred to me to seek out mentors.
Okay.
To go to conferences, to find learning resources, because it just seemed like this cowboy world where everyone just made it up as they go and you just look out for yourself and your crew and that's it. But it's not that. It never was that. And so I take responsibility for not having the foresight to go out and ask questions and find the answers. So I got by fine.
Did you also feel that maybe because you were a foreigner, you know, you were not American, and you kind of like were expected to know things too? Or
yeah, I've spent time touring from the UK.
Yeah.
I also lived in Canada, and I now live in
foreigner. Screw me.
I literally am.
You were doing American touring. I don't know if you were treated differently or anything.
I was, but in a positive way.
Good. Okay.
I loved my early touring experiences in the US because having an accent opened so many doors.
Does, man.
And I feel like the world is smaller now, so people don't even notice. I live in LA and nobody even notices I'm not from there.
How crazy. Yeah.
I love touring the US. I always have. And some of my favorite places are the less well-traveled states because people are genuinely interested where you're from, what your life is like back home. And then it's fun. It's so interesting to me. I love it.
You should start getting a thicker Scottish accent so that people really can't understand you. And they'll just nod and like, what?
Yeah. I get more Canadian now. People are like, are you Irish? Are you Canadian?
Yeah.
I really wish I had a thicker accent, but
it's beautiful.
I don't really like repeating myself. So if I had a really thick accent, you know.
Palatable. Yeah. For people to. Okay. So thank you again for being so, vulnerable with like your learning curve in this. All right. So how many years in until you said you're now on your first bus tour?
Yeah.
Who was that with?
That was with a Scottish band called Glasgow, who were massive in the UK.
Cool.
And it was a great opportunity to work with a band, and it was a big step up for me. I had a great time touring with them. Once you get through your first day, it's like, there's nothing scary about this.
Yeah.
There's nothing, but like, when you don't do something, when you haven't done something, it's scary, it's new. And so that was a great experience. And then, it quickly went from there. I'd done it, so I felt like I can go and do it again. I can do it with bigger tours. I can do multiple bus tours.
Let's go.
I worked with a lot of US artists coming to Europe. And at that level where maybe they would have a friend with them in North America, or like they would drive themselves, and Europe is a scary place to come if you haven't been before, different languages, different cultures. So that was a nice way for me to get work and prove myself to these bands who were in the, ascendancy in their careers, and grow with them. And like, that's genuinely the biggest thing that I loved touring, was growing with a band. Taking them from clubs and then developing them up into, building the tour around the artist, growing their tour with their fan base. And
you're a startup entrepreneur. That's for real, man. If you're good with driving the van to get them there, because there are certain, like I got to start on a 12 bus tour and it was so nice. And like, that's probably where I would like to be then anyways, it's interesting what stage TM do you want to grunt it out with them and grow or scale,
That's a great way of putting it. I've never thought about it that way, but there is an element, even with experienced tour managers, of taking a punt on an artist and buying in as it's almost like you're investing in their career. Yeah. Because like a Sabrina Carpenter goes from Sabrina Carpenter to Sabrina Carpenter or Chapel Roan. It's often, it's not overnight because you don't see the hidden work, but oftentimes you go from like playing clubs to playing arenas very quickly. And so that's something I thrive on. I love that. I love being a part of the team and building and, feeling a part of the success.
What is something at that stage that you wish you could tell the crew? Like, have you been a part of a team that has grown really quickly, and certain people on the team, the crew, like are probably best to stay in clubs, and you probably got to switch them out, or do they all ride that wave? Like how do you build a team or keep a team through massive growth?
I think it's a mindset thing as much as skill. I mean, you can't be bad at your job, but if you have the growth mindset, if you accept you'll never stop learning, there's a lot of people, I'm not going to just say in this industry, but in life, I think, who feel like they know everything they need to know. And that's going to hold you back for me. So if you have adaptability, if you have the right attitude, if you are willing to learn and grow with the artist, then I don't think there's any impediment to going with them. But if you think you know it all at club level and all you've done is club touring, I'm sorry, you're going to get found out pretty quickly and you're going to get replaced.
There it is. Yeah. How do you lead that group through growth?
I'd love to give you a really deep, meaningful answer, but it genuinely, a lot of the times it's quite chaotic because there's always a balance between where you're at, where you're going, and where you want to be. And usually, things like if you're growing quickly, cash flow, budgets, there's such a strain on the resources of the tour and of the artist. And it's one thing if you're on a major label and you have backing and you're on a trajectory that's been laid out for you and you're gonna be there. You're gonna be Olivia Rodrigo, right? But for an artist, independent artists say they don't know if this is a short peak in their career or if they're on a longer trajectory. So investing in things like crew, production, more buses, more trucks, those are big decisions for the vast majority of touring artists out there, and they can tip a tour budget from making money to losing money pretty quickly. So it's a huge responsibility there to be financially responsible to the needs of the artist and the desires of the artist. If they say they want to blow it out and have the coolest production, great, amazing, we can go and have fun. If they want to be conservative and be responsible, it's your job to respect that and act accordingly. So you have to often rein in creative. You have to keep crews smaller. You have to stay in cheaper hotels and all that thing. And oftentimes you're managing the expectations of the crew as well as the artist.
Interesting.
You might start dealing with complaints over, we should be staying in nicer hotels. Why are we 12 people to a bus? Etc. But you often can't share everything that you know.
Wow.
One of the biggest issues that we face in our industry is a lack of understanding of other people's jobs.
Yes.
And it's really easy to point the blame at the person who's not in the room or the person whose job you don't understand. So like touring crew bitching about the routing on a tour and going, is this agent just throwing darts at a board? I'd like to see you route a tour.
Yep.
That's hard.
Yep.
As a tour manager and in my new role, I get a peek behind the curtain further up the chain and I see different aspects of it. And I think things like this conference are fantastic for learning about and having a bit more empathy about what everybody else does in their job.
Yes.
Because lack of understanding can really lead to people feeling a certain way, complaining about certain things, and it's not productive. It causes negativity, and that's the downfall of every organization.
And it all comes down to the lack of training and the lack of education. If you are just thrown in and you're, all right, I'm going to figure out what I'm supposed to do. You're not also supposed to figure out how rigging does their job, just how you do your job right so that you keep your job. And so
exactly,
we're seeing the shift, and that's really cool.
100%.
So you're loving the road. It's your dream. You're crushing it. 20 years in, you get off the road.
Yeah.
Talk about that shift.
In that time, I moved to Canada. I was with the same artist for 8 years. I took them from, my first show was 200 Cap Club in London, and we headlined Jazz Fest in Montreal to 100,000 people.
Who's this?
A Canadian band called Half Moon Run.
Amazing.
And did 3 album cycles with them.
Wow.
They're some of my best friends. And, to go on that journey was incredible. We finished our last tour March 11th, 2020.
Dude.
We finished the tour. We got home. Last show in London.
What luck. My God.
And then the world shut down. And I think for the first time since I'd been in university, I stopped and I remembered what it was like to be home and to have routine and to be healthy and to go to the gym every day and have sleep for more than 5 hours a night. Yep. And I think I hit a point where I was like, this is nice. I want this more often.
Yeah.
Came out the pandemic, got back on the road for a couple of years, and I realized it was just, I felt like I've done my time. And I think I had a conversation with Ina Jacobs maybe a couple of years ago at this conference.
Let's go.
Who has been such an amazing informal mentor for me since I met her a couple of years ago. And she kind of explained it in terms of there's a curve, your career in touring curves up as you progress. But the window to get off the road and land at a point where you feel in a role where you have that self-worth and you can get off into something that fits your seniority and your responsibility, that window closes. The further up the chain you get, the older you get. And so that really was kind of transformational for me because I thought, okay, well, I'm getting older. I've done this for nearly 20 years. I still have goals in touring. I spent most of my touring life at the theater level. I'd love to go out and do like an A-level arena tour, but do I want to give up the next 5 to 10 years of my life to get there? And then what does that mean for the rest of my life?
Wow.
Having the time to sit down and think about that in the pandemic when I was doing nothing else was great because it really just crystallized a lot of things for me. So I went back out, did a couple of years, and then I midway through last year on an album cycle with Fletcher. And I just made a decision. I was like, I think this is going to be my last. It's going to be my last tour.
Wow.
A lot of people will say they're getting off the road, and when I told people, most people just laugh. They're like, yeah, right. Good luck with that. Yep. You'll be back next year.
I love that.
And that's a trope for a reason because it's hard to get off the road. But yeah, I made the decision and I said I'm going to stick to it. I'm going to give myself 6 months.
Yeah.
So I lived within my means to give myself a buffer to actually come off the road and give myself time to apply for jobs.
Oh, great.
And I got lucky. The role that I'm currently in came up at the right time.
Tour directing
Here
at
we
Black
are.
Ink.
Yes.
So you're using all of the knowledge that you have gotten over the last 20 years in freaking trial and error, do it yourself, self-made way.
Yep.
To now be able to live a life where you're home, having your routines, but basically doing the same thing, but just at home. Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
How amazing.
It's
What a great gig.
I feel really fortunate
Yeah.
to have found a job like this, because there aren't many off-ramps for people, tour managers specifically.
Yes.
And look, we all know that there are a ton of transferable skills you learn on the tour, and that you're a resilient, hardworking, driven person, but it's hard to translate that on a resume to a company that doesn't know that. So really, realistically, for someone like myself, the best off-ramps are tour adjacent. And so this role came up and I thought, oh my God, that's perfect. I really want it.
And how long have you been in this role now?
Coming up in a year.
Let's go. Okay.
Yes.
So what do you see the next 5 years looking like for you?
In my role, it's essentially a tour director role. In the company I work for, Black Ink is a production company, producer. We work a lot in the non-traditional touring space, family entertainment, film, concert experience. And so, there's a core group of guys who started the company, are production people, and they built it to this point where it's now part of Sony. And so I'd love to just continue to grow the company.
Yeah.
And bring my experience from touring into that. And, it's been an adjustment getting off the road. It's mentally, physically, it's a real, and oh my God, I was joking with someone last night, but it's the truest thing I think I've ever heard. They were talking about getting off the road is like, and I don't want to diminish this, but like it's almost like an addiction. It will always be behind you as the specter at the feet. Like it's always there and it's going, come on back,
Damn.
Come back out on the road.
Wow.
And it's easy to have a bad week at work and go, I could just go and pick up a tour.
Whoa.
But what it gives me in a global sense, health, community, family time is just, I love it. So
yeah, maybe there will be a world for one-offs. So like, just some gateway drugs,
Yeah, exactly.
like, cause that's a world I like a lot. Like just subbing. If subbing becomes a little bit more mainstream, you still get your fix and then you go out and you're like, fuck this. I don't want to be out here anymore. I'm exhausted.
Yeah. Well, I definitely get, I get to do that a lot in my role.
Great.
We a lot of times I'll go out through rehearsals, oversee rehearsals,
hell yeah.
Cover the first few shows of the tour, and then go back to my hotel room as the buses are leaving and go, I'm glad I don't have to try and squeeze into a bus bunk anymore.
Yeah, at 7 feet tall. Exactly. Well, but what you're doing right now is basically just mentoring that tour manager that's out with them. You are you're setting them up for success and then being the support for them.
I hope so.
How freaking cool is that? You are being the person that you needed.
I hadn't thought about it that way, but yeah, that's cool. I'm not a micromanager. I put trust in everyone I hire on all of our tours to do their job. If they want to use me as a resource, I'm there. I will have input on decisions where I think it's warranted, but I believe that you need to allow people the space to do their job.
Yep.
And the trust. When you come in as a tour director or in any position where you're not going to be there on the road, you become the default responsible person in the room. You become the person questions start coming to, and it sort of takes away the responsibility of the tour manager, the production manager. And so that's a delicate balance. I'm still working on that, but it's I want to have a relationship with all of our teams and have them know that they can come to me.
Yeah.
I want to be approachable, but at the same time, I want to empower my tour managers, production managers to make sure that they have ultimate responsibility on the road.
Are you a father? Do you have
No.
kids? Okay. I was like, I feel like that's what parents have to do.
Yeah.
Is like, you're their safety net, but they have to figure it out too. in a
Sure.
way. Yeah. What a cool job. And it's also, thank you for sharing that. I mean, the whole thing, thank you for this. But even just knowing that is a really cool off ramp at the time, specifically for a TM with all your skills to be able to do that.
Yeah. And I think, I'm seeing more and more tour directors, freelancers, but also in-house at management companies and
So smart.
producers like ourselves. And, for me, one of the biggest challenges, and it's been talked about in the last couple of days is when creative sells a vision to the artist before a production person has vetted the creative
Yeah, man.
and said, you can't afford that. You can't afford that, or that.
Yeah.
But then, as a tour manager, production manager, you get brought into the process at the point where the artist has fallen in love with the vision. Yeah. And then you're the bad guy. Yeah. You're not, the creative isn't going to love you, management aren't going to love you, the artists aren't going to love you, and the techs you bring on the tour are not going to love you. So it's a hard position to be in, to be the person that's saying no all the time. But
loop you in earlier.
Exactly. And that's where I hopefully come in my role, and other tour directors. You have a longer vision of the project that extends beyond just the tour.
Yeah. You
can be looking a year in advance, 2 years in advance, and seeing the project more holistically. And
oof.
Yeah.
You get from your head down at, let's just get through this tour and all the things that you have to being more of that, like CEO level, like you're
for sure
visionary now too. That is too cool, man. Thank you. I think we're at time, but thank you so much for this. You're awesome.
My pleasure.
I'm excited
Thanks for having me.
See what the next 5 years bring for you too. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.